Cole, speaking of spooky season, you got your costume on, Curt.
Kind of.
There's another big sky event coming up, and this is going to get us ready for the big sky event. Almost exactly 6 months to our big eclipse. We've got the small appetizer eclipse.
Yeah.
Curt Spivey with us, of course, from the planetarium. Tell us all about the annular eclipse coming up. Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, this is kind of like a dress rehearsal.
Right.
Good way to look at it. This is what we call an annular eclipse. The moon is going to pass completely in front of the sun, but you were just talking about the full super harvest moon last week. Because of that, 2 weeks later, the moon is at its furthest point in its orbit.
Okay.
So it's actually too small to completely cover the sun.
Okay.
So that's what makes this an annular eclipse. Now, it's still going to be kind of cool. And like I said, it's a good time to get ready for the big one on April 8th. But let's show you the path first. If you are in the southwestern United States, you'll be under the most coverage, where the sun is mostly covered. So Texas is getting a really good show, and so is Utah, for example. Utah, speaking of which, OSIRIS-REx successfully landed their payload, what I was talking about last month, so that's good. And if we'll go to the next one, this is what we're looking at. The bottom graphics, if you have a lunar eclipse. Okay, the moon passes into the Earth's shadow. Everybody on half of the Earth can see that. What's going on here is the top one, a solar eclipse. The moon is much, much, much smaller than both the Earth and the sun, but it's just the right distance that it's the same basic size as the sun, so it passes in between the two and will block the sun, but only for a small area. It cannot, because the moon is so small, only a few people get to see it. You got to be in the right spot to see a solar eclipse. And as I mentioned, the moon is at its furthest point in its orbit for this particular one, so the sun isn't going to get completely covered.
Can we bring up, let's bring up the graphic again with the path of totality. So we'll talk about this one, and then we'll go back to that graphic. Tell us what's going on here.
This is what, if you were right under the center of the eclipse, it would look like. This is what an annular eclipse looks like. And you still need, even though the sun is mostly covered, you still need protection from glasses. If there's any part of the sun you can still see, don't look at the sun directly. So let's go back to the path.
Yep. So here in Northeast Ohio, we are going to be under what, how much totality?
Okay. So for us, the moon's first going to touch the sun at 10 minutes of noon on October 14th, a week from Saturday. October 14th, it's kind of nice. It's on a Saturday even. The moon will be will have its maximum coverage here at 1:10 p.m. and the moon will leave the face of the sun at 2:40 or so. So if we go, if you can do this, Carrie, go 2 graphics past, and I'll show you what it's going to look like here. The next one's the annular, and then there we go.
Perfect.
So that's about how much of the sun is going to be covered from our point of view. So it might look a little bit like a cloudy day, even if you don't have glasses on.
That's my next question. I mean, what will it look like for us? It's obviously not going to be dark out. But
If you remember 2017, the sun was about 75 or 80% covered here, and you could actually feel a drop in temperature. This isn't going to be that bad, but you might, if it's like a completely clear day, you still might scratch your head a little bit because it might not look quite as bright as it should. But like I was saying, you're going to need these.
And where can we get those?
Okay. Actually, if we can have the super, Carrie, this website, greatamericaneclipse.com, is one of the clearinghouses from the AAS, the American Astronomical Society, where you can purchase these guys. And by the way, this is good. If you get them for this eclipse coming up on October 14th, they're still going to be good for the one in April. If you have any left from 2017, don't use those. If they sit around, they deteriorate, and it's been enough years you don't want to use those. The thing you want to look for is these are this meets the ISO transmission safety requirements. So you can go on Amazon, you might find some like that, but you can also find fly-by-nights that are just made of Mylar that will hurt your eyes. You don't want to mess around with these.
And they're cheap enough too. I mean, you're not going to find these for, you shouldn't find them for a lot of money. These are pretty inexpensive.
If you go to greatamericaneclipse.com, A single pair is about $10.
Yeah.
And if you have a big group or something, the more you get in volume. We're getting tons. We're stocking up for April, and we're getting them about $3 a pair for large amounts. So,
Curt, as always, thank you so much. Give us the website for the planetarium where we can find all the events and information coming up.
Yes, we actually have a Facebook Live event this Friday at 8 o'clock where we're going to be talking about this eclipse again. So it's wbplanetarium.org, but look us up on Facebook too.
Awesome. Curt, thank you so much for telling us about that.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it. Nice to see you as always.